Hello, and welcome everyone to today's webinar entitled Resilience and Reality Filipino Women Migrants, okay, and their experience in Hong Kong. So, we are very grateful that you are all here with us to join us today as we explore the lives and experiences of these remarkable women who embody resilience amid significant challenges in their lives. So, um, Filipino women migrate to Hong Kong for various reasons, including pursuit for a better economic opportunity, the hope of better supporting their families, and the drive for personal empowerment. So many see that working abroad is a pathway to financial stability, despite the inherent complexities of this role. And this is what we want to talk about today. So we know that their journey is not without obstacles. These women often face issues such as discrimination, lack of labor rights, and emotional labor, all while navigating it in a very foreign environment. So the challenges they encounter, ranging from long working hours to limited access to social service, underscore the need for empathy and understanding. So today, we're going to do a deep dive into these themes, emphasizing the importance of analyzing their experiences through a gender framework. Okay? And this perspective allows us to recognize how societal norms, gender roles, and intersectional identities impact their lives and working conditions. By elevating their stories and struggles, we can work towards a more equitable policy that will support them. So thank you again for being with us today. So I just like to share the format for today's discussion. So we will be hearing from four students. Okay, that would be us. Okay, we are students from the Diploma in Women and Development from UP Open University. And we have conducted an in-depth research on Filipino women migrant domestic helpers in Hong Kong. So each student will have the opportunity to present some findings, focusing on key points from their chosen study. So this will be the format. So each one will have an individual presentation of about 5 to 7 minutes long. They will summarize main points of the research, highlight the critical findings related to experiences of Filipino women in domestic work. Then each one will proceed to a gender analysis. So after outlining their study, each student will examine the issue through a gender analysis lens. This will involve discussing how gender dynamics shape the experiences of these women, no, including factors like socioeconomic status, cultural expectations, power relationships within the domestic sphere. And finally, if there are any, we will attempt to make some recommendations to offer thoughtful recommendations that address the challenges faced by these Filipino migrant domestic helpers. So these suggestions may range from policy to community support initiatives. So on behalf of my classmates, we really look forward to the insights and perspectives that will be shared. And we hope that this becomes not only a requirement in this class, but a continued way for understanding and advocating for women's rights, especially those Filipino women migrant workers who are in Hong Kong. So we are very grateful to be having this study. So I'd like to begin as a first student to talk about the study that I was able to find, no? And it's about employment conditions and mental health of overseas female migrant domestic workers in Hong Kong because I am a licensed psychologist. So I found this very interesting. It is a parallel mediation analysis. So what are the highlights of the study? So this study investigated the relationship between employment conditions and anxiety and depressive symptoms among female migrant domestic workers in Hong Kong. So the study involved 1,965 respondents, and they were predominantly Filipinos. About 80.6% of them were Filipinos, and 19.4% of the respondents were Indonesian. and they were all migrant domestic workers who have been employed at least 1 year in Hong Kong. So what were the findings of this study? According to the findings, it indicated that a significant portion of respondents experienced stress. It's like 63%. Low job satisfaction, that's 12.7%. Probable anxiety, that's 17.7%. And probable depression, that's 30.8%. And the most common reported issue included having to work before beginning a day off, no? Overcrowded living conditions, inadequate food, being woken up for work at night, and long working hours. So over 20% of the respondents reported working, imagine 16 or more hours per day, highlighting the exploitation from their employers. While only 2.1 reported not receiving food allowance or provisions as mandated by law, about 24% indicated that they didn't have enough food for their meals, suggesting that even when food is provided, it may be insufficient. So the respondents also reported concerns about their physical living conditions, such as overcrowding, lack of privacy, dirty environments, and inadequate utilities. So what is my gender analysis here? Well, migrant domestic workers comprise of many Filipinos. So even in that study, you will see that there were many more Filipinos found than the Indonesians. They are employed in a type of work that closely resembles what they do, and that is care work, taking care of children, doing household chores, attending to other members of the family, like elderly members who are sick, and they do this while the employers are working. So these are also the types of works that they would do here if they were back home. Now, the language barrier prevents them from articulating their challenges. So they just resort to just keeping quiet. Like, I don't want to report this anymore because maybe fear of losing the job, since they might have some legal issues in their employment contracts. So what happens to them is probable depression, probable anxiety. But overall, they are grateful for the opportunity to work, to earn money, and to somehow get some support from their employers. So if I were to offer some recommendations, I would say number one, please implement stricter labor regulations that establish a maximum limit on weekly working hours, preventing exploitation by employers, and to enforce penalties for violations. You cannot work like 16 to 20 hours. Of course, they need their rest. Second, mandate that employers provide adequate food allowance and ensure living conditions, and that these meet basic health and sanitation standards with regular inspections to ensure compliance. Okay? Because part of mental health should ensure that they are in a safe space. Okay? And finally, perhaps develop and fund cultural and language integration programs for migrant domestic workers upon arrival, offering accessible language courses and cultural orientations to reduce communication barriers and improve workplace relationships. So that's from my end. I'd like to call my classmate, Reggie.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Reggie Salonga. I'm from Muntinlupa City. One of the study that I work on is the entitled Asian Female Foreign Domestic Workers as Migrant in Hong Kong. So the study found out that foreign domestic workers, even though they are driven by economic need and promise of bigger salary greater than what they are receiving in their home, they sacrifice much. They leave their homes, families, their culture, social status, especially if they are a college graduate. The support from their community to care for others. Hong Kong visas for domestic workers are governed by strict residency and employment rules such as limited 2-year contract to work with their specific family that must be obtained via a licensed recruitment agency. at the cost of their employers. They must also work times and may not moonlight. They reside with their employer. They are not eligible for permanency residency and cannot bring their family members in Hong Kong. That they have 2-week rule. Upon the termination of contract or end of contract, they must find a new employer or leave the country. Filipino workers on average are older, most likely have an education with English language proficiency. Many are already skilled workers. They face challenges of foreign domestic workers. One is the unfair practice of recruitment agency. Then the next is the poor labor conditions that they when living with their employers, and they have these legal concerns with their contracts, and of course the indebtedness in their home countries. Many domestic workers reported working 16 hours to 17 hours per day, 6 days per week, and they receiving insufficient food provided by employers and having no private rooms. And they are expected to perform illegal work, and also they are experiencing maltreatment, physical and sexual assault, and underpayment. Sometimes they are paid less. And foreign domestic workers are advised to change their appearance in ways that are not defeminizing. They are viewed as sexual rival to their male employers who might, and the domestic workers are being seduce their male employers, to secure permanent residency in Hong Kong. And also their behavior is tightly regulated by some employers because of the lack of privacy and detailed work and schedules. And also foreign domestic workers, like mostly Filipinos, are highly psychologically vulnerable due to discrimination, marginalization, abuse, and hard work and isolation. This study shows that when severe psychiatric condition emerge, it is oftentimes because of their family problem, relationship problem, and the work crisis they experience. A trend in this 20th century migration is the feminization of migrant workforce, where women from developing countries migrate independently of their male relatives and for work to fulfill their demand in industrialized economies for labor. It is more evident in Asia, where thousands of women migrate to work mostly in occupation categorized as unskilled. Women from Philippines, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and Thailand, mostly heading to Hong Kong. It is widely recognized that domestic workers belong to one of the sectors most susceptible to abuse. And they are compensated the least in labor market and vulnerable to various abuse, physical and sexual, and their living condition is insufficient, and also the deficient in their legal contracts. But despite the problems, the sending government continue to their immigration partnership with Hong Kong because of the remittances, and they can help reduce the unemployment rate in the country. So because of this, we recommend that the government should have strict monitoring on the condition of the agency, to ensure the welfare of the Filipino domestic workers natin. So yun po. And I'd like to call on my classmate to discuss another study, Miss Cindy.
I am Cindy Lintera. I'm in Hong Kong. So this is entitled, When Love is Not Enough. Ang sakit. Pumagat. Ang sakit na kaagad. So this journal explores the experiences of migrant workers and their children in the Philippines. So based on this journal, maraming kababaihan ang nagtatrabaho abroad to support their families. At kadalasan, dahil sa tagal nila sa ibang bansa, ay minsan nila sa mga special occasions like birthday and iba't ibang milestone. No? Meron nga sa paper na ito po, sa journal na ito, si Francis Tumpalan, ang sabi niya, iniwan siya ng nanay niya at the age of 4. At para sa kanya, parang sabi niya, fantasy na lang daw na makita o makasama niya o umuwi yung kanyang magulang no, na nagtatrabaho sa ibang bansa. And what's good in this journal, in this paper, ay hindi lang po nakikita natin na despite decades of fighting po with gender inequality, nananatili pa rin yung pagiging domesticated ng mga kababaihan ng million Filipino work abroad. And malaki ang bilang ng mga kababaihan na ang trabaho po nila cleaning, giving, and other role natin as women women work, no? Parang trabaho ng mga kababaihan itong linis at and kung ano-ano po. At mabigyan sila ng kanilang mga pangangailangan. So kahit maging mag-isa na lang sa ibang bansa, okay lang. At kahit mapalayo sila sa kanilang mga anak. So sa huli po, it is important to acknowledge the importance of the sacrifices and contributions made by the women migrant workers. I hope that the government would offer additional support and protection, not only for them as migrant workers, but also for their family.
Okay, thank you very much, Cindy. Cindy is calling us from Palawan. That's why her signal is like that. So now I'd like to call on our last speaker, our classmate, Trent.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible. Good afternoon, everyone. So today I'll be presenting the study Migrants and Elderly Care by the Mission for Migrant Workers conducted in 2018. This study revealed that 40% of migrant domestic workers in Hong Kong, the overwhelming majority of whom are women, 97%, are engaged in elderly care work, often in addition to full household management. Women from the Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Sri Lanka, and Nepal form the backbone of this labor force. The gender dynamics in the study show that caregiving work, a task historically associated with women's unpaid labor force, is often invisible and undervalued despite its complexity. Women migrant domestic workers are expected to perform emotionally and physically demanding tasks, from feeding, bathing, and accompanying elderly wards to administrating basic medical care, often without proper training or support or protection. Moreover, communication barriers, cultural differences, and the lack of labor protection mechanisms expose these women to verbal abuse, overwork, emotional strain, and even physical mistreatment. Gendered expectations place immense physical and emotional labor on their shoulders without adequate recognition, training, or protection. Reading the study, I could not help but ask, who takes care of the women who take care of everyone else? This is not just a policy question. It is a moral one. In light of these realities, I joined the call for action. There is an urgent need to strengthen protection for migrant domestic workers in Hong Kong and everywhere else. Host countries must align their policies with international labor studies or standards, including the International Labor Organization's Domestic Workers Convention, to ensure safe, humane, and dignified living and working conditions. Equally, sending countries like the Philippines must take a proactive role to establish stronger welfare support systems abroad, ensuring accessible complaint mechanisms, and creating innovative protection such as maybe VAUC, or Violence Against Women and Children deaths for migrant workers overseas. Migrant domestic workers are not just economic contributors. They are mothers, like my mom who had worked before in Hong Kong as domestic helper, daughters, sisters, breadwinners, and dream builders. Today, as we reflect on these studies presented by my classmates and I, we must remember dignity, safety, and justice for migrant domestic workers are not optional. They are human rights. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Reggie. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Trent. Thank you for the presentations and the insights that we have all provided today. So I think we've learned a lot of valuable questions. And after this, I can't help but feel for them. And I feel that this exercise has really changed us in many, many ways. We learned the valuable lessons and the complexities that they face. And we only hear them in the news, but now it's different when you really put some gender focus on this one, no? Particularly how gender dynamics shape their experience. So your analysis was able to provide and remind us, no, of the importance of advocating for their rights because they deserve to be treated with dignity and worth. So let's take these lessons to heart and work together to support and empower these resilient women. So now when we hear about them, we will think about them in a very different way. So thank you for all those who are viewing us and who are watching us. Maraming salamat sa inyo.